My name is Linda. This is how God ruined my life. When I started going to school, my parents sent me to a private Christian school, even though they weren't Christian. My dad is Buddhist and my mom didn't really have any religion. But they sent me to this Christian school. I just remember them being really scary. Like, they were like scary Christians. They were Baptists and really scary. And like, I think one time I told them that my dad was Buddhist and they were like, your dad's going to hell. So I went home and told my dad and he got upset that they told me that. And then I spent like the next, I don't know how many years, like thinking my dad's going to hell. Both my parents are going to hell. And then when I went to college, I think I took a class on world religions. And then I was like, wow, these other religions are really interesting. Like, I don't like mine anymore. And I thought, you know, like, I would explore other religions. Like, I had wanted to be Buddhist, you know, from college on. You know, I didn't really, I would say I had, you know, wasn't going to anything. I wasn't going to church, I wasn't going to temple. I didn't really have a religion. I was just saying I wanted to find a new one that appealed to me. And then I met Evan, and Evan was a Christian.
She was pretty and funny. Yeah, there was that physical attraction. She was pretty blunt. She was straightforward. She didn't play a lot of games.
When we got married and we had Ethan, and during this time, right after we had Ethan, me and Evan decided that I wasn't going to work anymore and I would just stay home with him. And my plan was that after Ethan started going to school full-time, I would find a job, some you know, whatever job. But then as Ethan got older, I decided I want another baby. And I would just, you know, put my plans for career or whatever on hold, and we would just stay in our little house. Because if we had another child, we wouldn't have the money to move. So I was like, that's fine. They'll just share a room. I don't care. You know, I just want this baby. So then twice, while we were trying to have this second baby, I lost the two of them. And after that happened, I really didn't talk to anyone. Like, I didn't talk to my friends. I didn't talk to Evan. I was just so sad. So then when the third time I took my test and it said I was pregnant, I didn't tell Evan. The first two times it happened, I think he didn't really know how to deal with it. But then a few days went by and I decided, well, I kind of have to tell him. So I told him and he was kind of like, okay, that's great, you know. I don't think either, I was really excited, but I think he was just kind of guarding himself. And of course, that was Ollie. He was 3 months old. He was born in March, and it was July 3rd. It was the day before 4th of July. Well, Evan had already been sick for about a week.
And we were in Pasadena taking family photos. And I remember being really sick that day, so we came home. And then I think a day or two after that, Linda started getting sick also. So we both decided to take turn and drive ourselves to the doctor because my car had just broken down.
So they admitted me and they said I was really, really sick. And that I needed to go to the ER. And they told me that I couldn't drive myself because I was way too sick, so I had to call someone.
I didn't hear from her till later that night when she called and asked me that she needed a ride to the ER.
That's the last thing I remember, was waiting in the waiting room at the ER.
She had gone into a coma and they needed to talk to me. they explained to me what had happened to her and that it doesn't look good and she could possibly die within the next, 24 or 48 hours.
At some point, I remember being aware of kind of like where I was. Like I was in a hospital because I had something stuck here, which was, it turned out it was a ventilator because at the time I was sick and I couldn't breathe, so they had to put a ventilator in my throat. And I remember, I don't know how I told Evan this, maybe I wrote it down, but I told him to take Ethan back to school shopping because when I went in, it was July. So, maybe it's gonna be close to like getting ready for school. And then Evan told me, he's already been in school for like a month. And I was like, what the hell? Like what's the date? Like what year is it? So then it turns out I had already been in the ICU for almost 4 months. And the doctors came in and were trying to explain to me what had happened, and they said that I probably had the flu, the H1N1 that was going around that year. And because I was just pregnant, my immune system wasn't really working properly. And so even though Evan was sick, he was okay. But I got sick, I didn't have the immunity to fight it off. While I was sick, I don't think I had any blood pressure. So they had to give me some kind of medication to keep my blood pressure up and to keep my brain alive. But as a result, it takes away the circulation from like your extremities. And so when I saw my hands and my feet, they were black. Like the ends of my fingers were just like charcoal bricks, and my feet were like that too. Then the doctors were like, well, we're gonna have to cut off all those parts that had gangrened and died. Evan was really supportive, he was just like, well, we gotta do it. And my mom was telling me not to do it, that God was gonna somehow grow them back. So that was kind of hard because she just kept telling me not to do it. But if I hadn't done it, I obviously would have just died because you can't, leave those on. So I don't think I really realized what was happening because I was still on so many drugs until I woke up from my surgery. And then when I woke up and I just saw like they just ended, like I didn't see the feet poking up anymore. Then I just, it just hit me that they're gone. Like you can never put them back. I didn't know who to blame. You want, when something happens, you want to blame someone or find out why it happened. But there was no reason for it. I remember this one day I was at home and I was really, really, really depressed. And I just wanted to kill myself. And then I texted Evan, I said, I'm really depressed, I want to die. And he texted me back saying, oh, don't worry about it, or something to that effect, something not really helpful. Then I started to think, I didn't dislike Ollie, but I thought, well, this is Ollie's fault. If I wasn't pregnant at that time, then I wouldn't have gotten sick. Or if I had gotten sick, it wouldn't have been like that. It would have just been a normal sick. So I thought, if I had never had Ollie, I was like, I don't even want him anymore. He did this to me. And the doctors were pretty much telling me that if I hadn't been pregnant, I would have been fine. So I said, it's Ollie's fault. So then for a while I was telling Evan, I was like, what if we had never had Ollie? This never would have happened. And he said, don't say that, Ollie's a blessing. And I was like, oh. So at that point, I didn't really even understand a lot of things. I thought, well, if God is so good, he's so great, how come he let this happen to me? How come he didn't save me? My dad wouldn't have let this happen to me if he could have stopped it. God's supposed to be everyone's father, but he didn't even help me. And people were like, oh, you're so lucky to be alive. And I was like, screw this, I don't want to be alive. This sucks. God sucks, like God's mean. Look how he punishes people and blah blah, you know, and I thought that's what he had done to me for something I had done. I don't know what it was. And then Evan said, well, maybe that was like how, you know, he tried to get your attention. And I'm like, but that's mean. Like, why would you do that to someone to get their attention, right? God is just this like mean Santa that is up there, you know. I'm like, if I was so sick, why didn't you help me? Why did you just let me get even sicker? You know, like he sucks.